show. We had a few little technical difficulties in the beginning. We here early today, man. I want to tap in with the family. I got a lot of good news, got a lot of information to share with you guys. I know I haven't done a live in quite some time, but we here. Hope everybody is well. I'm coming from you live from Thailand right now, so excuse the internet, but we should be a go. Right now it is about 6:45 in the a.m. Probably going to be around 7:45 a.m. for you guys, most of you guys who are coming or living on the East Coast. I want to welcome everybody in the building. We got King Sims Travels. Yeah, we're a little early today, man. We're a little early today. We got I'm different shows up in the building. He says, I want to move out there. Yeah, man. You know, the more the merrier, man. Come on out here. I suggest you check it out first to see if it's your vibe, see if you like the energy here or if you like living here. There are some other countries you might want to travel to as well. Like I say, I've enjoyed every country that I've lived in personally. And we're going to talk about that on this show. The title of this show is The Pros and Cons of Becoming a Expat. All right. The pros and cons. There's a lot of pros, but there are some cons that you need to be aware of when moving full time overseas. Okay, guys. All right. We got Life was really in the building. Was good. He was out here for a little minute. He says, yeah, YouTube is acting up. Hey, man, YouTube, it has its days. Definitely has its days. We got Yoga in the building. All right. What's good with you, Yoga? Let me start to set up the show because I had to drop off for a little second, but we're going to definitely set it on up for you guys in a moment. Let's see what we got here. There we go. All right. There we go. We setting it on up. Now, as some of you see in the bottom of the screen right now, I'm going to cover that. I'm going to do a whole show about the Passport Bros app that we've been working on for about a year. I'm going to have it pulled up on the screen. I'm going to touch over it, but I'm going to do a whole show dedicated to the launch of the beta testing of the Passport Bros app. So it's not quite ready just yet. We got about 40 people on there testing it out. We've been testing it for the last couple of weeks. We worked very hard on this project. You guys are going to be pleasantly surprised. Take us some time, but we do have our own independent platform, and I'm going to cover that once we get a few more people in the room. We're going to be it's good, man. Well, we really worked on giving you guys an application that brings value, especially in the travel niche. And it is a fully monetized app, meaning, yes, you can make money with the Passport Bros because we do have a lot of guys that want to create some form of residual income or just income where they can make living overseas. Okay. So just imagine being the first couple of thousand on a social media platform with a creative traveling community, all right, that you'll be able to monetize early on. Some people that join YouTube, it's a lot of guys that try to post in the group, and I'm going to shout out the Facebook group, Passport Bros, all right, the official Passport Bros Facebook group. We got a lot of knockoffs now, a lot of copycats, but we are approaching 20,000 members in the private Facebook group. All right. Let me just show a little quick clip. Now, here we was probably about 8,000. The group has grown super fast. We welcoming in about maybe 2,000-3,000, sometimes a week, sometimes a month. But yes, we are closing in at 20,000. I think we got 19,800, something like that right now, man. And the group is off the chain. Now, the thing about the group is I get a lot of complaints. The other admins get a lot of messages and everything. Hey, man, why wasn't my post approved? It's a lot of reasons why guys' posts aren't approved. It's a lot of reason why some guys can't even enter the group. All right. We have admins that try to do a thorough check to kind of see, who we're allowing in the group. And we have to be very moderate in what we post because, it's somebody else's platform. Right. So we can't approve everything. And some guys don't understand that. They got some good posts, but unfortunately, we just cannot approve everything because the original Facebook group was taken down at 7K. Now we got two Facebook groups. We got Black Men Travels 2.0, which is the the original group. It was taken down, then we put it back up. It was taken down by Facebook for really no specific reason, and this is why we wanted to create our own platform that we won't have that issue. Because the cool thing is about being in a small niche community, small travel community, is there is power in numbers, right? And it's a basic love for travel. Most guys that's in the group, I would say the majority of them have the ideology of either living overseas or traveling abroad frequently. All right. And there's power in that. You can get all types of discounts from hotels, in some cases, even airlines. All right. You got validated tour guides, you got validated rentals. All that is going to be available on the app, and we'll be able to monetize easier the population of the group. The thing about having a big Facebook group is you never know when they decide to take it down or whatever issues. They always giving you strikes. Sometimes they don't understand the jargon that we utilize within the group. They might consider it to be hate speech, even though you just kind of just going back and forth with guys joking around. They don't really understand the culture too much, and that could be a big issue. It sounds like, but it could be a big issue. You don't want to wake up tomorrow and the whole community that you love, that you're involved in, would be gone because of some simple infraction. All right. Or maybe somebody just doesn't like the group. All right. That's the problem with having such a large community on someone else's platform. All right. So that's why we went ahead and dedicated and worked hard and invested, all right, in the Passport Bros app. You can see it right there on the phone right there. All right. Like I said, I'm gonna let a few more people come in the room, and I'll show you a little glimpse. Like I said, right now we're in testing. Excuse a little dirty phone, but right now we're in the beta testing, so we're still getting everything together. But we're looking to release on June 1st. All right, guys, we're looking to release on June 1st. Right now, we got about 40 guys on the app. As a matter of fact, I already had a message from one guy who's like, man, just cap the app off at like 2,000-3,000. Don't let nobody else in. We'll pay whatever a month. We just want a small community, but we're not going to do it like that. We're still going to grow the community. We still, like I said, we got 20,000 guys in the private Facebook group, and we hope to eventually port all of those guys over once they see the benefits of networking and joining the Passport Bros app. All right. I know I'm excited. You should get excited too. All right. Because it's a big thing, especially for guys to be able to monetize and make money. A lot of guys starting YouTube channels, which is cool. YouTube is definitely a good platform, but keep in mind, it's like millions of users on YouTube, and it takes some time to kind of set yourself back in the day, being a black travel YouTuber, it was, like I say, it was small, so the guys that jumped on early, the Aces Lives and some of the IMRs, they was able to capitalize off that fact, right? Get quick 200, 300,000. That's not to take away anything from the greatness of their content, but to hop on YouTube, and I see a lot of guys posting the YouTube links in the Facebook group, and they wondering like, hey man, why I don't got 20,000, 30,000 subscribers? It takes some time, and you're competing with so many other travel YouTubers. So just imagine, even it's a small community, it's a monetizable community that you could really benefit off of. All right, let me catch these comments, and we'll jump right back into the show. Let's see who we got here. All right, so we got no reservations. I believe he actually has the app already. He might already have the app. Like I say, it's a few guys that's going to be in the chat that has the app. He says got the app up. It's nice. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. All right, we're not ready to send the link out quite yet. We still, like I said, we only got about 40 people on the app right now, testing out, giving us feedback. All right, before we launch, we want to have everything put together as much as possible, even though this is still in the beta testing phase. But we're going to roll it out. You guys can, get on the app, interact with the app, interact with other guys, and give us some feedback. All right. All right. He says, I'm different. Says, I have my passport, just need more bread to live, work, and play in Brazil. Yeah, man. We also have a resource center on the app. And within that resource center, there will be 400 to 500 online jobs that you guys can skim through within the resource center. All right. We have the jobs. We have the courses, language courses that you guys can take. We did some partnerships with a couple of guys that have their own language classes. We have exclusive rentals. A lot of guys don't know, especially in Brazil, where you want to go to, bro. Finding places to stay is not as easy as one, because a lot of Americans do have a certain standard. You know, that was one of my big issues in Brazil, man. I mean, those apartments are quite dated in the places or the area that we like to frequent, like the Copacabana, Ipanema, the Leblon area. You're paying not bad. You know, you might be paying 800 to 1200 a month, but those apartments might not be to the standard that you would like. A lot of them have bad insulation. All right. A lot of them are dated. A lot of the buildings were built in the 1940s and 50s and everything. And some guys, you know, they have a certain standard when they want to be on vacation. They don't want to drop that off. All right. So that's the reason that we do have those exclusive rentals to be, you know, in good locations, to be priced well. You will receive a discount on the app as well. Like I say before, it's benefits in being in a large group, right? Where we can book the apartments in mass. Basically, we can keep them booked up, and we will be able to apply those discounts right back to our members. All right. So that's one of the other options. One of the other features that we have within the Passport Bros app. Colombia, the apartments aren't too bad. Thailand, you can definitely find a good standard apartment here in Thailand as well. But Brazil is a big market. Trust me. I've had guys that look through Airbnb. You know, they think it's a fly apartment. You know, people know how to take certain angles and certain photos to make it look way bigger than what it is. And they get in the apartment, and it's designed very strangely. You know, shout out to my dude Travelversity. He had booked the apartment one time for like a month, and the way it was built dimensionally, like it was like a triangular. I don't know if it was a corner apartment in the building, but it was just, when you went in there, you got like vertigo or something. You know, they actually have apartments like that. You go in there and it's like weird the way it's set up. The bathroom is about like the size of a closet, and you're paying $800-900 a month. And I'm telling you, man, that apartment search in Brazil and Colombia to a certain degree can be very difficult. All right. Somebody said, is it safe? We're going to talk about that too. I know we had a little, not little, but we had a post in the group talking about the travel advisory on Colombia and Jamaica. All right. But we'll cover that. We'll cover that. We got Kirby Films in the building. What up, Kirby Films? What's good with you today, bro? What's good? We in here, man. We got 60 in the room. Guys, do me a favor. Make sure you hit that like button. We in here today. We in here today. And we are going to do a panel. We're going to do a panel. I haven't done a panel in quite some time. If we do the panel, guys, do me a favor and make sure you cam up, because we want to know who we're speaking to. All right. Let's see who is all else in the room. All right, somebody asked why they're taking pages down. Listen, man, I tell you specifically why they took the original group down, right? They said that it was nudity. There was no nudity. Somebody basically did a screenshot of a Robinhood account, right? It was a Robinhood account. Somebody had mentioned, we had a guy in there that was, this is when Robinhood was real big. We had a guy that was in there. I guess he was short selling or day trading or whatever. And he would mention, you know, good plays. And we will approve it. We're like, all right, cool. You know, he got some knowledge. He can share it with the group. Guys want to make a little extra money so they can travel. If they can make it, you know, trade in Robinhood or buying some stocks, sitting on them for a couple of months and you know, buying their ticket with the profits, no problem. But they actually said that screenshot was nudity. All it was a screenshot of a Robinhood account. And we was approaching 8,000 members when they did that. I went to Facebook. They never messaged me back. So this is the reason. This is the initiation of why we decided to create our own platform. Me and Cardell, my business partner, we're very frustrated because we worked very hard to get that group to 8,000. All right. And it's some work. It's definitely some work, and it's not really beneficial. We've been conditioned to give away all our content for free. And what they do on their side is they sell all your data. All right. Every police department in America, and sometimes even overseas, they have a specific department for social media. All right. They email social media or message, you know, whoever, whatever platform, and they just send all your data information over. All right. On a private network, we don't do that. We don't share data. It's an enclosed community all right, where you can feel protected without any big brother oversight. So that's the reason, the initiation of why we decided to create our own social network application for specifically the Passport Bros, because we get a lot of drama, we got a lot of pushback. We got a lot of guys that going back and forth within the gender war and all that. But that wasn't the purpose or the initial purpose of the Passport Bros ideology, or if you want to call it a movement. It was simply guys that want to live overseas to access an easier lifestyle. And we're going to talk about that easier lifestyle in today's show. Okay. All right. Who had that? Was at 651. All right. CB Passport Strength. He says, "What up, BMT? So when is the new Passport app is going to be released?" Like I said, I'm gonna do a whole show probably in the morning my time, which would be in the evening your guys' time. All right, or late tonight. It's gonna be like a morning show, right? So dudes' minds can be sharp and everything. Because it's a lot of business because orientated within the app that I'm going to explain really sets you guys up. But what I might do, I might even create a profile online and walk you guys through it. All right. But the official release date right now is going to be June 1st. We had it at May 22nd, but it's May 22nd tomorrow, and it's just not quite ready. We're still putting some things together. All right. We got salute. Shout out to XL Pro. He says salute. All right. Okay. All right. Somebody said smart move. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Somebody said, shout out to I'm different. He says, sounds like y'all need some construction workers with knowledge of first world country apprenticeships. No, let me they do got some nice apartments. All right. It's just about finding them. All right. Like I say, a lot of those apartments in those tourist areas that guys frequent that like to be in that particular area, those apartments that just been there. It was built in the early 1900s, 50s, 60s. They still got the Dick Tracy elevators where you got to slam the door and everything yourself. You got to manually close the door. So it's just, some people like the aesthetic of that old, time. But for me, it's just not my flow. I lived in Baja da Juca where the apartments were built in the early 2000s. So they're not as dated. All right. And plus, to me, a lot of buildings do have installation problems, right? Like we have a standard of building in America, and installation and the breeding is that's kind of like, by the building codes, they got to make sure that the insulation is good, the asbestos is out of there. Not so much in some of these countries overseas, right? When I got my first apartment in Medellin, I'm a little asthmatic, so I could not breathe at all. It was just real stuffy. Your nose got clogged up as soon as you walked into the apartment. I went ahead and got out of there. The walls were kind of like peeling off. So that's what I mean by just an American standard that most guys are going to be comfortable with. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, like I said, we're gonna get in the show in a minute. Because a lot of guys are asking about the app. I know I got the link down there saying download it now, but it's not. Like I say, the actual download date would be June 1st. All right. And yes, it took us a while. We did raise money. Some of the cats were saying, "Oh, you've been raising money for a whole year." No, we raised money for 45 days, and it was $5,000, and that was within I believe, the original or the second Facebook group. So we raised about 5,000, but I can assure you that the app costs way more than that. And me and Cardell put up the rest of our bread because what we wanted to do was show you guys something. We wanted to build trust. We actually did a survey within the group asking guys like, okay, we know because we had about 8,000 members at the time. And we was asking guys, okay, what's the issue? Donating $3 to $4, $5, and it was trust, and we understood that. So I said to Cardell, I said, you know what? We're going to do one campaign. We're going to raise as much money as we can within those 45 days. All right. Now we had some additional donations, but they kind of trickled in $100 here and there every day. And also, like I said, I'm gonna do a whole show about this because I'm really excited about this project. All the Kickstarter guys will receive a link early, a week or two early. They've already pretty much paid for the app. Some have paid for the app already for the whole entire year. And we wanted to show you guys, we wanted to show you that, hey, man, we can come together. We can build something. All right. As men, that's what we're supposed to do. We're just not supposed to complain. All right, this is 2023. All right, this is not when it took $100,000, $200,000 to build your own private social network. Things have changed. All right, and we build a small, community, and we want to keep it unique, small, and that travel niche. All right, and that's what we did. So it took us some time. I took a lot of L's on the front end. I wasn't really familiar with developing applications or really a tech guy. I come from the media side of film production and video and logistics, pretty much sales, stuff like that. So it was a learning curve, and you're gonna get burnt. And anything you're not familiar with, it's like what they call it, not a rite of passage, but it just takes some time. It's a learning curve. You're gonna lose time. You're gonna lose money. People are gonna overpromise and underdeliver. This is the actual fourth application that we built. The app was supposed to be ready in April, right? But once I got the app on my phone, download the APK, nothing worked, and I was highly disappointed. But I'm gonna discuss that, go more into details when I do the show, probably in the morning, which would be my nighttime, about the app, just to kind of explain you the little storyline of what happened and why it took so long. But the good thing is we know what we're doing now. We got a really good developer. I want to give a shout out to the developer, a brother who understands the culture, all right, understands the movement, understands what we're trying to do, and it's geared specifically for us. You can look through the graphics, by the breakdown, how we got everything organized and broke down. It's very professional, very clean. The graphics is good. And that's the importance of kind of working with somebody that understands your culture, and understands that the interface is very important. Guys, Americans, we just have a certain standard. We like nice stuff, right? We like things to be unique and tailor fitted for us. And that's what we did with this application. All right. We got William Gooseby in the building. Says, "What up, bro? Retired Army here. Love your content, man. Appreciate that, man. I appreciate that." We got Kenneth Buzz in the building. All right, we got D South Crown 35, who is also a member. Appreciate you becoming a member, bro. He says, "Finally caught a live." Yes, sir. We're gonna start doing these lives regularly around this time. We're gonna go for early your guys' evening. We got some great shows lined up. This channel is really more dedicated to interviews and live feeds. Now, the vlog channel is Passport Bros TV. I got about 1,500 subscribers. If you want to see the actual travel vlogs of me being in Colombia and Brazil, DR, Thailand, you can go over there and sub to the Passport Bros TV. All right, we got 74 guys in the room. Guys, do me a favor. Make sure you hit that like button when you come in the room. All right. All right, we got a couple of trolls, but it's all good. We got Global Passport crew in the building. I don't know why dudes like drama so much. It's amazing to me. All right. But negativity, hey, people feed into it. But if you notice, when you are negative, you love a negative content, you internalize negativity, you like gossiping, chatty patty about what other guys do and everything. That equation, that formula never works. All right. It never works, especially on YouTube. When you piss a lot of people off, it just doesn't work like that. And a lot of those guys who try to make that type of controversial, negative line type of defamational content, all their channels have been pretty much deleted now. All right. So go to another route, bro. Stay positive and go another route. I want to give a shout out to SJ Clyde. He's in the building. Shout out to you, bro. Shout out to you. He has the app as well. Salute to you, bro. He's been rocking with me since the get-go. I think Jay Clyde might have been probably one of my first interviews, at least in the top 5. This is when I was back in the States during COVID, when I cranked up my channel and we couldn't travel. So what I was doing, I was interviewing guys that were either stuck overseas or, would travel overseas frequently. And shout out to Jay Clyde because he gives a lot of good information about Brazil and Colombia. And Jay Clyde will pull up on you too. Jay Clyde will pull up on you, bro. He will pull up on you. All right. Let me get this troll up out of here. You talking about other people, man. Get your ass up out of here, bro. All right. All right, we got Stefano in the building. He says, "Salute BMT." All right. Like I say, I'm going to dedicate a whole show, but I'm going to just tap into a few questions before we get started. Now, CB asked, where's the Passport app going to be? And the release date again. Okay, the release date is June 1st. right? And we're not going to be on any app stores because if we do the app stores, they're going to take 30%. And with 30%, we cannot revenue share with you guys, basically. That's just being taxed. You can tax 30 from the app stores and you can tax another 30 possibly through taxation. So, it's an independent app. It's going to be on your phone just like any other app, but we're not going to be on the app store. There's a lot of restrictions on the app store. I had an app previously on the Apple, what would you call it, the iPhone store, whatever you call the Apple store. I had an app on there. It's generally not going to be worth it, and it's going to be restricted because technically speaking, you have it available, even though it's your platform. You know what I'm saying? Even though it's your application and it is social media, you can get away with a lot through a social network. We just don't want to. We're anticipating problems. You see what I'm saying? We know how you're going to go in there looking for the app one day. It's not going to be available for whatever reason. So we decided to go fully independent. All right. But the cool thing is it's still going to be an application on your phone. You're going to go to the landing page, the website. You're going to be able to download it right to your phone. All right. All right. So J. Clyde says he did the interviews, like 500 subs. We got 87 in the room. All right, guys, come on. We've been rocking for about 30 minutes. Go ahead, come on in the room. All right. Somebody says, when I'm coming to Sao Paulo, you know what? I've been in Sao Paulo, but I was only in Sao Paulo for a couple of days. Sao Paulo is cool. Sao Paulo is cool. A lot of English-speaking Brazilians in Sao Paulo. A lot of beautiful women in Sao Paulo as well. All right. I want to cover this story real quick, family. I want to give us some good news. We stay positive on this channel. So let me see if I can pull this up. Where we at? Now, some of you guys, my cash app is BMT2040. Let me drop that in there for you, man. BMT2040. That's the cash app. All right. Now, I want to share this with you. Guys. Now, some of you guys might have already known this or heard about this story, but it hasn't really went viral like that. But this is a big story, and I don't know if this brother considers himself to be a passport bro, but this is some passport bro-ish. All right. Excuse all the little ads on the website. I was trying to find an actual video for you guys, but I could not find a video. Now, this brother right here plays for the Dallas Mavericks. All right. He's an NBA player. I'm not familiar if he's dropping 20, 30 a game. It's not about that. All right. This is more important. Now, Reggie Bullock actually purchased an island in Belize. That's right. He paid $2 million for an island in Belize. This is some passport bro-ish. All right. Like I say, I'm not really familiar with, if you're dropping 20, 30 a game, I don't know his lifestyle. If he got platinum jewelry, I don't know. This story, it's just a motivation. Only $2 million. And this brother has his own island off the coast of Belize. All right. All right. So it says he's about 6'6". All right. So Bullock took his family to the Central American island for a vacation and began to work on getting the private island in order. All right. That's him right there. All right. Beautiful black background right there. All right. Man, can you imagine having your own island? Your own island, bro. That's big. That's real wealth, in my opinion. He says, this is his personal Instagram. He says, I want to thank the community of Belize for welcoming my family with open arms. Ever since I found out about Belize, I want to take my brand and exposure from U.S. to invest in the country. All right. Somebody says he's a role player on the bench. Okay, that's what's up, man. Well, hey, this is what I'm talking about. I'm more impressed by these moves than a guy just spending 20, 30 million or 2-3 million on some jewelry. All right. As a man, you want freedom, you want territory, you want land, you want real estate. And this is some passport bro stuff. And I'm very proud of the guy, man. Salute to him for purchasing his own island off of Belize. Belize has a little history. The Caribbean actually has a lot of history. A lot of African Americans don't know, but it was plans to actually voluntarily migrate us to the Caribbean, like Haiti. And this is when Haiti was popping. This is when, not now, but Haiti, Belize, Panama. What's the other country that was out there? They actually had a meeting. You can look it up. Right after the end of slavery, after emancipation, Abraham Lincoln, he invited some of the thought leaders in the black community, Frederick Douglass, a couple of other very powerful African Americans, to the White House and said, hey, man, you might not get a fair shake. You're free. You might be exposed to certain violence and dangers. It might be better if not all of you, but some of you start to voluntarily migrate to Liberia, Belize, Panama. We're going to protect it. It's going to be a U.S. territory, similar to how Puerto Rico is today. All right. You'll be protected under the United States. And he offered an industry to us, too. I believe at that time it was coal. Coal was big back then. It was coal and maybe something else. So that was it actually didn't end up working out. A lot of African Americans wanted to stay where they was at, but that was some talks, all right. And some people already know about the history of African Americans going to Liberia, colonizing Liberia, and all that for 50 to 60 years, all right. So Belize, in the Caribbean, like I say, it's always been melanated people out there. That was a thought, but this brother, shout out to him. He bought an island for himself and his family. I believe it's called Bullock Island out there in Belize, man. Shout out to the Haitian gummies. Is watching from Haiti. All right. Somebody said he doesn't know if he's a passport bro. The passport bro title, hey, man, everybody using it. Some people like it. Some people don't. It's all good. All right. But like I say, that's some passport bro-ish. This is what I like to talk about. This is what I like to discuss. I don't do the whole gender war thing or going back and forth with other YouTubers on why I should travel or why we're allowed to travel. We've been traveling the globe for a very long time, probably before anybody else. Truthfully speaking, if you look at it historically, we've been traveling around the world. All right. We just did it a little differently. When we traveled the world, we was coming from an abundance mindset, all right, because we came from the continent of Africa, a lot of us. All right. So when we traveled, it was primarily for trade. Some of us stayed in some of these countries that we were in. We've been going through South America. We've been going through the Caribbean. We've been going through North America. It's historically proven. All right. We've been all through Europe. We've been all through, Asia and all that good stuff. So we've been traveling. It's super evidence of this. Gold tip spears from the Mali Empire, all into the Dominican Republic and the island of Hispaniola. We've been around. We just didn't come with the mindset of taking people's shit, colonizing people, enslaving people. Not saying no names or point out any ethnicities here. I'm just saying we went with a different mindset of pretty much primarily trade. Okay. All right. People still asking about the app. Like I said, I'm gonna do a whole show about the app. But yeah, man, that's definitely some passport bro-ish. Now we got 105 in the room. Guys, make sure you hit that like button when you come in the room. We in here. All right. We are in here. Now, we've been here 37 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and jump on the topic we've been chopping up for a minute. The pros and cons of becoming an expat. All right. Now, in my experience, my expat experience living in a couple of countries has been great. Personally, I take the good with the bad. I don't think there is a perfect country out there. All right. You're going to have some cons. You're going to have some good things about a country. It's going to be a learning curve. I tell guys, hey, man, if you decide to move permanently, it might be in your best interest to link up with somebody that lives there already. All right. Or to maybe even pay for a consultation from Zoom of Thailand, from Andre Love Crossing Borders, Travelversity, me, whoever you rocking with, whoever you feel like can give you the proper information, because that does make a big difference. When I moved to Colombia, it was a large learning curve. I made a lot of mistakes, a lot of financial mistakes, a lot of social mistakes. All right. I paid for a consultation in 2017 from a guy from the Black Man's Option at the time. Shout out to him. That helped me on my trip. If I didn't have that consultation, it would have changed the dynamics of that trip. And I might not have been a super fan of Brazil because I didn't speak the language. I didn't know. All right. It's a big learning curve. So like I say, there's some pros and cons. All right. All right. So let me go ahead and pull up this real quick. All right. And this is a pretty good article. The definition with pros of cons of living abroad. So let me explain exactly what an expat is, because some people don't even know what an expatriate is. I wasn't familiar with it before I really moved overseas myself. But it's basically somebody that's left the country in order to reside in another country. The simple definition of what an expat is. Now, in most cases, a lot of expats are older, maybe retired, but you do have an emergence of digital nomads, IT guys, ex-military guys that are living overseas. Some guys might have retired from the military. Some guys simply just found an online job. I got a guy that just recently moved to Medellin, Colombia. He was out here in Thailand. Shout out to him, John. I believe he's a Haitian brother, maybe Haitian American. He asked me, "Hey man, can I get the jobs list?" I'm like, "Sure, bro." I sent him the job list, and he actually found the job because they got about 500 of them. He found an online job and was able to move to Medellin full time. He's living it up. He's living it up. All right. All right. So, as far as the definition of why people are leaving America, it's a myriad of reasons. All right. It's not all about the women. In some cases, it's about the women. But in most cases, it's just your money goes a whole lot further, right? Just imagine being able to multiply the value of your money simply by taking a flight. That's the biggest thing that gets overlooked within the passport bro community. Because, like I say, it's so, it's the little controversy, it's all about the dating and the women. And, you got some guys like they go back and forth and all they do is post women on TikTok complaining about the passport bros. Listen, man, as a man, you work hard. You want to be able to enjoy yourself. You want more leisure. You want more time to invest in relationships because relationships are hard, whether they're in America or whether they're overseas. Relationships can be tough regardless. In some cases, the culture supports the relationships and you can kind of fall back on the family structure and the culture a little bit to make things easier. But relationships, regardless, can be difficult, right? But the cool thing is the fact that now you have more time to be able to invest in a relationship and you have more resources. All right. Instead of you going out to eat, spending $100, $200, some cases $300, you chop that bill in half 3 to 4 times. All right. Because you are receiving American currency or Western currency. I think the British pound is the best, but American currency. And that bill shot down drastically. So now, instead of you being able to afford to take out 1-2 women a month in some cases, maybe even a week, now you can just kind of just date the way you want to date. And it's just not, you're not spending all your resources on trying to find you a potential mate. All right. All right. So let's go to some pros and cons. Let's thumb through this. All right. Now, some of this, yes, the thing about being an American is, yes, the taxation, you can be double taxed depending on your income. There is a tax exclusion if you make less than a certain amount of money. I'm let you do your own research on that. I'm not going to try to give you too many taxable facts or anything like that. I don't want you to take anything because people will take what I say and they be like, oh, I ain't got to do this, I ain't got to do that. No, do your own research. But that is one of the main things about being an expat, besides learning the language. All right. Besides the visas, the visas can be difficult in some cases if you're trying to live overseas. The cool thing is now a lot of countries that we like to go to are offering digital nomad visas. That's cool. All right. Knowing what I know now, I probably would have got a long-term visa because the visa situation can be a little bit of a headache. I'm not going to say it's necessarily stressful, but it can be a headache. And you want a situation to where you're not filling up your passport every month with stamps. You got to get another passport and all that good stuff. So knowing what I know now, researching the visa options is very important on what you're comfortable with. Brazil has different ways you can get a visa out there. Colombia has different visas out there. When I was living there, I was working on the rentista visa, I believe, where you can eventually get citizenship within that 5-year time frame. So you got different options. You got the student visa in Colombia right now, and Brazil. You do get 90-day visas on arrival. I thought I took that for granted, but now I know, especially being here in Asia and hearing some of the feedback I'm getting from African countries as well, that's pretty good. 90 days on arrival, that is pretty good. 3 months, and you can extend it through an extension application for another 3 months. So you got 6 months off the rip. All right. At least in most cases in most countries in South America, and they all do offer digital nomad visas, both Brazil and Colombia. I think in the Dominican Republic, as an American, you don't have to worry about the visa situation so much. But in South America and Southeast Asia, that's one of the main things. You want to make sure that you're staying in that country legally. I see news updates all the time of other people from other countries staying illegally. They get fined. Sometimes they get jailed. They get banned from the country. So that's really important when you're an expat, is to do your proper research, consult a lawyer or whoever, a visa office, on the visa situation there, and also be aware of the double taxation. Now, in some cases, unless you're making a lot of money, like I said, there is a tax exemption to a certain amount, which means you still got to file. But there is, since you're not in the country, I believe, and do your own research on this. Shout out to Andre and Love Crossing Borders. I know he did a couple of shows about this. You have to stay out of the States you can only live in the States for 33 days out the year. And you cannot make over a certain amount of money. All right. I think it's that 130,000. Like I said, do your own research. But just keep that in mind. There is a way that you don't have to. I'm not saying you don't have to pay taxes. Do your own research. Please do your own research. Don't take what I'm saying. Take it with a grain of salt. But that's one of the things that you have to look for, especially if you decide to start a business. All right. In some cases, when you start a business, a club or bar, you have to pay your taxes in America, and you have to pay your taxes in the country that you have your business in. So keep that in mind. All right. All right. Shout out to Tim Howard. All right. Give me a second, family. Give me 1 minute. Give me 1 second. I'm going to be right back.
See, I'm repping that BMT. No matter where I go, no matter where I be. We'll be rocking it like that, man. I love the fit of this shirt, bro.
Bro, look, I just have to get off the elevator. Look at it, look at it. The BMT shirt on. You know, we representing all over in Thailand, man.
What's up, y'all? It's the Travel OG, and I gotta do my BMT commercial, man, for my BMT shirt, man. This shirt is so dope, man. It shows off your guns, fits your muscles, gives you room at the bottom for the belly, and then you're repping the BMT brand, man. So make sure y'all pick up that BMT shirt, because it's fire. It looks good. He got them in different colors, and I'm telling y'all, man, the fit, it ain't that cheap. It's a real quality shirt, man. I love it, BMT. Shout out to you, man. Thank you for blessing me with the shirt. And I'll see you on the other side.
Just family. Just fellas, don't forget to check out the Black Man Travels merch. All right, we back. Okay. Let's see. Let me scroll through the chat real quick. I've been flowing for a little minute. All right. Okay, I got my dude Backpack Val in the building. What up, Backpack? All right. All right, we scrolling a little. Got a little delay here. All right, let me see. All right. All right, we were flowing. We were frozen now. Hold on. All right, here we go. We back. Apologies, family. Shout out to to Tyler on Wi-Fi. We back. Shout out to my dude Backpack Val with a $5 super chat, man. I really appreciate it. As a shout out to BMT, always dropping gems. Yes, sir, man. I'm trying to give you that information. All right, you need a job list, HMM Gaming. Do me a favor. You can email me at blackmentravels@gmail.com. But the job list will be available on the app as well. We're going to have about 400 to 500 online jobs for you guys. All right. All right, I want to give a shout out. He says, yes, there's a Haitian community out in Brazil. There's a big population of Japanese. It's another population as well. What's that? Not Portugal. It's like they have more people in Brazil than their actual home country. They have a huge expat community out there in Brazil. What is that? Libyans, something like that. I believe a country around that European Middle Eastern area. You actually have more people in Brazil because in some cases, when you move as a people, as a community, you'll be surprised what they will offer you. All right, they might offer you an industry. You know, if you look at America, we know that certain foreigners have a whole entire industries, right? Hotels, gas stations, restaurants, all right, within our own communities, making millions tax free. Keep that in mind. So maybe we can apply those same benefits overseas that they're getting, that we can get the same in these other countries that we visit if we move as a community, as a block, and we have something to offer. All right. I want to give a shout out to Mostly Money TV. All right, with the 20 mil Colombian pesos. Appreciate that, my brother. That's my brother Andre. All right. You can't make over 112K and can't stay in the States more than 33 days. Like I said, this is my guy Andre, Mostly Money TV. He does a lot of great informational research. Check out his channel. All right. He says you can't make over 112,000 and can't stay in the States more than 33 days. All right. On the last page of your passport, line 4 said you must file even if 90% don't owe. Expats have until June 18th to file. All right. So that's some valuable information. Appreciate that. Really appreciate that. Andre from Love Crossing Borders, Mostly Money TV. These things we be talking about, man. Lebanon, that's why I wanted to say in Brazil. They have a large expat community, the Lebanese in Brazil. The Japanese as well. The Japanese as well. All right. That's one thing we're going to offer on the app as well. We do have a couple of brothers that are going to have language courses on the application as well. That resource is going to be a beast. I'm telling you guys, it's going to be a beast. All right. Now, one of the other things, I don't want to get too far off the credit. I'm going to go ahead and open up a panel soon. If somebody wants to hop on, we can do a little panel. If not, I'm going to go ahead and close the show. All right. Now, we talked about the taxation. You know, we talked about some of the advantages. Let's go over some of the pros. Now, one of the pros is, of course, new experiences and maybe even a better climate. I love living in Medellin. I've been living in climates. Medellin has a real good climate, man. I mean, it spoils you. It spoils you 70 to 80 degrees every single day. All right. It has its rainy season for the most part, but it doesn't stop nothing. That's probably the best climate I've been in. Brazil, beautiful climate. It gets super hot in Brazil, really hot in Thailand as well. It's a different type of hot because you're closer to the equator. All right. So, you know, yeah, we get hot in the South in America too, the West Coast, and you get hot, but it's a different type of heat. Trust me. And it rains. You definitely have your rainy seasons where it rains a lot. We're about to hop into the rainy season here in Thailand, I believe next month. And I welcome it, man, because it's really hot out here. It is super hot out here, bro. All right. You know what? Let me actually pull up. I meant to pull up let me actually pull it up for you guys. All right. This is the article that I'm referring to right here. All right. Now, another big one that we always talk about, me and Andre, is the healthcare. The healthcare system in America is good, but it's super expensive, bro. It is super expensive. And I know a lot of guys, you know, they're more comfortable with doing certain procedures or visiting the doctor in America. It's understandable. But a lot of guys aren't. A lot of brothers don't even go to the hospital unless we really, really have to, because we have this distrust in the American medical system from the history of it. Excuse me. So I've been in a hospital in Colombia, Brazil. I always tell guys that it's affordable to get a private doctor, have a private doctor on call. It's not that expensive. They'll come right to your house with a medical kit, check you out. And you can apply for digital nomad health insurance. It's not super expensive, especially if you're in your 30s or 40s or 50s. You might want to have two policies. You might want to have a more familiar policy back in America that covers you overseas. It's a lot of ways to tackle that. You have to do your own research on that as well. When I do my consultations, I mention what I'm insured with, and I try to give you, information on, what your best option, what may be, because it's tailor fitted to each individual. You got some guys in their 50s and 60s that might need more medical attention than guys in their 20s and 30s. So it's tailor fit for you. Like I say, most expat medical insurance is not that expensive. You definitely want some type of credit card with 10, 15,000 on it, 20,000. That's going to take care of you in most cases in most countries overseas. All right. All right. Now, one of the biggest cons, besides double taxation, is being homesick or having some form of culture shock. That is true. That is very true. I would say it hit me. I moved out November. Was it November? Like November. And that was a difficult time to move overseas. And I'm going to tell you why. Because of the holidays. I was one of those guys that was always around my family during the holidays. Thanksgiving is one of my favorite times of the year. From Halloween all the way up to New Year's. That's like more family time. And by me moving out the country in November, it hit me pretty hard because I wasn't around my family during the holidays. I've been around the holidays since my whole entire life. All right. So that's one of them things. You're going to miss your family. You do develop somewhat of an expat family because the culture and the language definitely is going to bond you together. You're going to get friends. Be careful of the friends you meet overseas, though. Be careful of the expats. I will say that. But you will develop a little circle. And over time, you'll start to get more comfortable. But that's one of them big things, especially if you're a family-oriented person. I'm a Cancer. We love being around friends and family. We're social beings. So that was one of those things that I had to adjust. Besides the culture shock, besides being intimidated by another culture, another language, different holidays. You wake up, everything is closed. Why is everything closed? Oh, it's a holiday. You're like, damn, it's another holiday. So it takes some time to adjust. It might not seem like a big deal because I know most of you guys like, man, the hell with the family. I want to move overseas and access the baddies, but it will hit you at some point. That culture shock. It's another term I like to use too, besides culture shock, to really explain it in more detail. But it hits you. In my opinion, it hits most people, the majority of people. When you wake up one day and you don't even, you just kind of going about your day. And it hits you that you 10,000 miles away, right? You're like, oh damn, I can't go to my cousin's house. Oh shit, I miss my auntie and cooking. I miss my mom's. It's like that hits you. That definitely hits you, and you might go through a little time frame. I promise you, it gets better with time. But that's one of the cons I would say is missing that familiar circle of family and friends. All right. Somebody say the 7-Elevens. Hey man, there's so many 7-Elevens out here, bro. The 7-Elevens out here are like a mini grocery store, by the way. All right. And we discussed the culture shock, the language, the cultural, political, and economic barriers. Yes, there's definitely some differences. All right. For me personally, I haven't gotten into too many sticky situations with the nationals or the locals in any countries I've been to. I had a few incidents in Brazil. I had maybe an incident or two in Colombia. But that's going to happen when you live overseas. That's kind of, I almost say, unavoidable, especially when you don't speak the language fluently. It might just be a miscommunication. It might be what I like to call a drop in cultural etiquette, right? Like it's different. You will learn in some cases, which you might not think is serious, is very serious. I give you a prime example. I'm in Brazil. I knew it was a big soccer game going on, not the World Cup or nothing, but they have their soccer games like we have our football games. And I think they took an L, and I just happened to have the opposing face mask on, not the jersey, but just the face mask on. And I'm in my building. I'm in the little bodega downstairs, and this big, huge Brazilian guy who had to be about 6'5", maybe 270 or something. Big in shape, dude. He's mean mugging me. You know, I don't know what's going on until the next day. I'm thinking like, damn, I gotta fight this dude. Like, what's going on? I didn't know. I didn't understand the issue. I'm like, why is this guy on me like this? Like, why is he like, bro, you got a problem? Of course, he doesn't speak English. I didn't speak much Portuguese at the time. So it's like we just kind of, it's like a stare down. And I'm sitting here trying to figure out like what's the issue. I go to eat breakfast the next morning in the building, and I was cool with the guy that owned the restaurant. I used to eat there almost every day. And he's like, "Oh, bro, you gotta take the mask off." I'm like, "What you mean? You know, like, what's the problem?" He was like, "Nah, man, that they lost yesterday. People take that very serious here. They'll fight you. They might even shoot you." I was like, "Damn." So that's what I mean by cultural etiquette. Another situation in Brazil. Me and my boy, we talking to some flight attendants. I told the story back in the day. We talking to some flight attendants, and I'm gonna go ahead and drop a link to see if anybody want to come on. All right, let me drop a link. We're talking to some flight attendants. We did not know that they have been previously talking to some Brazilian guys. All right. And in Brazil, if a Brazilian man buys a woman a drink, that's taken like we're talking now, or we in our little mix. And I believe one of my other guys got into it in a similar situation. Didn't realize that, like I say, cultural etiquette. Approach the flight attendants, we going back and forth. Those Brazilian guys, we left with those girls. Those Brazilian guys followed us for like 2-3 blocks. We got into it a little bit. I had to get a taxi so we can get us all up out of there. They were very aggressive. They felt like we stole something from them or something. We just didn't know. You know what I'm saying? We thinking that we didn't even know that they had bought the girls' drinks. We had no clue until after the fact. But now I'm like, oh, okay, so that's what happened. That's what they were pissed off about. Little cultural etiquette that you got to be aware of. Somebody said that sounds like Chicago dudes getting shot at over goofy stuff. It's not that serious. Hold on. Don't get it. It was nothing to that nature. It's nothing like that. It was just, a little drop, like I say, in cultural etiquette. We just didn't know. All right. And we got women involved. I got my chest out. He got his chest out. We go back and forth. I still remember he was just like, he didn't speak any English, but one thing he said to me was, "Hey, man, this is Brazil." And I'm like, all right, you know what I'm saying? Well, they going with us. So that's another one. All right, let me go ahead and welcome my dude, Global Passport Bro, in the building. What's good, bro?
Hey, what's up?
What's happening with you, man?
Nothing much. How you doing?
Doing all right, brother. Doing all right. So what you think about the show topic, man? The pros and cons of being an expat.
Yeah, it's a lot. You got to do a lot of research. Even when I went to Brazil, not to Brazil, Israel, I had to do a lot of research about the country, and so that way you don't make any mistakes. Because even over there, because I was basically going into a war zone, dealing with the Israeli and Palestinian conflict. And, I was kind of glad to go over there because you start to get an understanding of what's really going on other than what the media feeds you or what other people's viewpoints is. You get to see what's really going on. And now that right now going over there, I wouldn't recommend going over there right now because terrorism's kind of spiking up right now. I just hold up 1 second. I just got to clear something up real quick. Okay. Yeah. I wouldn't recommend going over there. It's just kind of hostile right now with terrorism. But still, even being an expat over in the Middle East, you really got to pay attention to stuff. And going to Colombia, it's another thing. You pay attention to some of the things going on. Listening to Andre and you and other people and stuff on social media, I pay attention to a lot of the stuff. So that way I prepare myself if I decide to go to these countries, I know what to do and what not to do. And those are things, if you're going to be an expat, you really need to pay attention to certain things, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most definitely. I want to catch this comment by Patrick Blockrock, P Money. Says no piece of, let's just say, girls we're dying for. It's not stop of your manhood to extract yourself from a girl. Well, the thing was, it was difficult because they was coming with us regardless. You know, they had made their decisions, so it wasn't like we could really shake the situation. You know, they left with us. But shout out to the cats in Brazil, man. I love Brazil. Brazil is cool. It's not as serious as one would think it was back in America, where they shooting up the block and doing drive-bys. It's nothing like that of that nature. All right.
Now, what part of Brazil was that at?
This is actually in Copacabana.
Oh, Copacabana. Okay.
Yeah, this is right in Copacabana, 2017, I believe. My first trip in Brazil. It might have been day 5, day 6. I'm getting my footing. It was nice, man. It was different back then. This is right before that feminism hit hard out there. So it was real different. It was real. It was back in 2017. It was they was really enjoying being around Americans. Just put it that way.
Yeah, I know. I've met one girl. She was kind of a feminist, and I went to school with her. She was in Israel, and she was from Brazil. And yeah, I kind of got that vibe from her. But she was mad cool though. She was really, really mad cool. But I don't know what happened, man. It's just, like I said, when you go to these countries, you really, really got to do a lot of research. And usually I just tell people, just go check it out, take a vacation, and check it out before you make any moves and pick up and settle down there, because you never know. You really got to check that lifestyle out. Especially the whole double tax. The double tax I didn't really know about. I knew about the you have to make a certain money, because when guys used to be contractors overseas in war zones, originally it was 103,000 was the most you can make. They must have changed that. And most of the time you was there for a year anyway. So 33 days, yeah, it's pretty much correct. Yeah, so Andre was on point, but they must have changed that amount to 112 now. I didn't.
I know some guys that time it to where they in the States. Shout out to one of my guys. He lives in Barranquilla. He times it so he can kind of be with his family during the holiday, because he have kids and all that. So he's there for that month, November, December, and he jets right on back out because he doesn't want to get hit with those. You know what I'm saying? That double tax. So, it's a timing thing, most definitely. And I know some guys who purposely, I'm not gonna say limit their money, but they, try to stay around that range.
Oh yeah, and that was some good money back in the days. People was
it's great money overseas.
Oh, back in the days when we were still in Afghanistan, I knew dudes that was making about 170, 180 a year.
You know what's funny, man? I used to work with this guy. He was from Brownsville, New York. And I'll never forget the story he told me. He said he did an overseas contract. He was driving trucks overseas, and he sent a lot of money back home to his wife. But his wife was upset at him for leaving. He's like, he went through a midlife crisis. He wanted to do something different. He had been in the States his whole entire life. Another friend of his that did it. Unfortunately, his friend lost his life over there as well, because it can be dangerous. His friend drove over a landmine. That's unfortunate. So he did take a L on that. But he said when he got home and asked his wife where all the money was at, she pointed to the floors. They ate out every day. Her and the kids ate out every day. She has basically spent all the money that he risked his life for.
That happened with a lot of people in the military, man. Hazardous duty pay and all that extra pay we were getting, all that disappeared. Wifey didn't spent it eating out and doing this, buying this and that. It was just like, honey, that was supposed to be stuff we were supposed to be banking and stuff. And it was just like, oh man, it was just a nightmare. So being an expat it's fun, doing it, but there's a reality people don't grasp about it, and that is just preparing for it. And there are ups and downs and stuff like that living overseas. Some people don't understand the lifestyle and stuff. Like when I was in Israel, it was just a whole different lifestyle. I didn't even know there was an African community in Israel. That was a shock.
I'm gonna tell you what was a shock to me, man. One of the biggest shocks to me, because we don't know too much, from my educational system about other, overseas, was seeing other Afro people, right? Like going to the Brazil, going to Rio, and seeing so many other black people. You just sitting here like what y'all doing here? And you be like, well, what you doing here? It's like, damn, okay. Like, you just, it's amazing, bro. I got people coming in. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's my stream, but I got people coming in and out. Let me see because sometimes I just can't see who's in the back end. Let me see if I can do something with this. Hold on, fellas. I'm trying to see who's all in here. All right, hold on. I got my dude QB Passport flexing in the building. Hold on, let me.
What's up? What's up? Am I coming in okay?
Yeah,
What's good? What's good, man? What's good, bro? I see you over there, man. I see you over there.
Right.
Got the channel popping. That's what's up.
Okay. So,
do you have the app yet?
No. Can you send it to me and I'll download it and join as soon as possible?
Come on, now, internet. We were just flowing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you're moving now. You've kind of frozen up for a brief minute.
Right. You did. I thought it was me at first, but okay.
Okay. What's good, bros? What's good?
Yeah, you're coming in perfect. You're coming in good now.
Okay. Yeah, but did I send you a link? Are you on there?
No, send me the link and I'll join.
Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. All right, I want to welcome Will Gooseby for the first time to the show.
Hey, how you doing, my man? You said my name right, so I appreciate that.
Oh, it's all good, man. It's all good. How's everything going with you today?
Oh, it's going great. I actually just got back from Colombia, Sunday, and like I said, I go down there every 2 months. But I guess one of the things that I was really interested about your show when you were talking about people wanting to move overseas. I mean, when I was in the military, of course, I lived in Germany for 13 years. Living in Europe is different than of course. Like the brother said, living over in the Middle East, which I've lived over there as well for a year. I lived in Hungary for a year, lived in Italy for a year. So I lived in a whole lot of places for, many years. And, like I said, Middle East was definitely the most dangerous of where I stayed because, just like, some of the brothers said, I worked over there, being in the military, worked over there, being a contractor. And yeah, that's correct about the taxes. I didn't get taxed when I was in Germany because of the SOFA agreement.
Okay.
So what were they taxing you specifically, like your income tax or?
So you would get danger pay and you get hostile pay, right?
Oh, okay.
And because the thing is, I think at that time when I was in Afghanistan, when I was there for a year, actually it was a really cool mission. Just got out active duty. Was like I said, at Cap Alpha, working for Admiral McCraven. If you look him up, then you'll know the history of why he's so significant. I mean, this is the guy that got Osama bin Laden. So I was there during that time frame. So I got to really do some cool things in my military career. Still do that as a civilian. I'm actually retiring next year. I'll be 56. I said I'm tired. I want to move to another country. And of course, I picked Colombia. But I think it's all about perspective. You can live anywhere. But I agree. Right. You have to go there. You have to go there multiple times. You just can't go once or twice. And can't just say, oh, I'm going there for the fruits. Because if you just go there for the fruits, you're going to get in trouble. I think you gentlemen know what I mean.
Yeah.
Right. What part of Colombia do you really like, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so, I mean, I've been to Barranquilla. I've been to Cali. I've been to Cartagena. I like Medellin the most. I've been to a couple of islands also, San Andreas, Isla Fuerte. So, I mean, last year I was probably out the country. I was taking a trip probably like every other month. I was taking a trip and then some in-between trips. So I was out the country about 8 times last year.
Nice.
Okay. And can you give us some pros and cons?
Yes. So exactly what you were saying about when you get overseas, So there's multiple things that you have to look at, right? So my mom passed away at the end of 2020. My dad's still here in the United States.
I'm sorry to hear
However,
that.
hey, I thank you, brother. You know what? She lived a good life. She raised me as a good man. I can't complain. I have nothing to be, complaining about. I have a lot to be thankful for. So, retiring at 56 is an awesome thing. So, pros and cons, right? One of my main pros is definitely not because of women. I don't travel because of the women. I travel for peace of mind. And so for me to be somewhere where you're getting treated like a human being, an individual, getting respected more in another country than you do in your own, kind of raises like some questions like, wow, this is interesting, even being in Colombia, being in the Dominican Republic, being in Germany, where they just love black people. Not so much in Saudi Arabia, that's a whole nother deal. I also lived in Iraq for a year, but like I said, that was under military deal, went out on objective a whole lot. Of course, I didn't have any problems because I guess when they look at us, they look at us like, okay, hey, you've been oppressed or whatever. So back to the pros and cons. So living overseas for the pros, I think, is that, you get treated better, one. Two, some things can be cheaper depending on where you live. I mean, if you live in Europe, it's going to be quite expensive regardless of that. Living here and living on this side of this side of the world, going to Mexico, going to Belize, going to Dominican Republic, or going to Argentina or any of these other places, Colombia. Of course, those places are going to be a lot cheaper. I mean, and that goes without saying because you look at their economy. If you look at their economy, you can kind of tell if the dollar is going to go really well there. The other deal is the people tend to be more friendly. You do need to understand the culture really well. So I agree with many of you on that because that's one of the problems that that a lot of people, they go down, they have these American ways of thinking, and so that's kind of what gets them in trouble. So you got to really
Mm-hmm.
pay attention to your surroundings, pay attention to the people, and don't become complacent. The
Mm-hmm.
what you say, the cons is definitely missing family. If you don't have a lot of family, I just have my siblings pretty much left. My father is left. I only have like two aunties that are living and one uncle. So
Mm-hmm.
I would certainly miss them. But definitely, that's one of the things. And then, of course, the language barrier. There's the thing. I'm still learning Spanish, even though I've been down there since I've been, going down to Colombia since
You,
2021.
you
I'm still
definitely
learning
need it in
Spanish.
Colombia, man. Hablo español muy importante, mi hermano.
And so, yeah, as these
I
brothers were
see. I
saying,
see. I see you over there.
I see. I hear you over there.
And let me catch the super chat, and I want to welcome Josh to the show and Andre from Love Crossing Borders. I don't know if he froze or not, but I want to give a super shout out to Bobby Barnes for the $50 super chat. Man, I really appreciate that. He says, "Salute BMT. Appreciate all the hard work and motivation." Yes, sir, man, and salute to you as well, brother. Appreciate that super chat. All right, I think Andre was in there, but maybe he'll come back in. All right, Josh, you have anything you want to say about this?
yeah,
About the
so
subject?
first of all, BMT, I appreciate everything you're doing. You're doing a great thing for Black men, and it's the saving grace that puts us all on our purpose. And we are different. We're educated. We have life goals, and we're not the average Pookie and Ray Ray that has been responsible for destroying our communities. So I think that in the Black community, everything is backwards. But I kind of want to start this introduction by asking each one of you guys, if you don't live abroad, where would you go and why? BMT, I know you currently live in Thailand. So let's start from my screen. I can see you in the black, you in the gray, and then you on the bottom. So go ahead and break it down for me.
I would probably go to Barranquilla, Colombia. Just a little quick hop to the United States if I need to go back and forth. Is that a khaki shirt you got on?
Nah, it's just a little sweatshirt. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
Okay. QB,
No,
you want to hop on
it
there?
says khaki, the company.
Oh, I'll wait.
No, it's just a plain white
Okay.
hoodie that I have on.
Okay.
And one more thing I do want to mention before you go, the country that I really decided that I really want to move to is Croatia. So I don't know if you guys have been.
Okay.
So, yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So it's like a
I
Slavic
have been
country.
around that. I've been
Passport
around that
Bro
area.
Croatia.
Yeah,
It's not a bad
so
place.
for my 25th birthday, I actually book me a trip to Croatia. I'll be there for about 2 weeks. And so basically what I'm doing right now is I'm just visiting the culture. Obviously, the women are definitely a plus, but I'm really looking for a good quality of life. I'm learning the language, also learning IT and figuring out if that's the right move for me. But based on what I've seen, they're very friendly to Black people, and just the overall culture is just a lot better than in the West. I think we all can agree. And wherever we go, for all the brothers watching, I don't think any of us can tell anybody in the stream specifically where to go. You just kind of have to look and align yourself with the values and culture of how you want your life to be and how well you fit in there. So that's just my thoughts.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
I want to welcome my guy, Andre Love, Crossing Borders.
What up, Drake?
Great.
Gentlemen, and more gentlemen. How's your night going, guys, or your day, or your morning, or your afternoon, depending on where you are in this world?
It's going well, brother. It's going well.
All right,
well.
great.
Now, I want to ask you specifically, bro, because I know you've been overseas for a minute. You want to tap on some pros and cons?
Oh yeah, some of the pros is first of all, let's just go with what one experience that I experienced that very few get to experience. The driving in South America is not North America. And so you have to it's a learning curve, man. It's a whole language within itself. Just imagine you just in a country where it's work traffic, rush hour traffic all day long, and you'll be all right, because you have to realize that when you come to these other countries, that motorcycles, the reason why they get the small kind of like dirt bike-ish motorcycles or the scooters, because they can drive in between the cars, and you're not used to seeing that in the States. They drive in between the lines. At 8:30 here in Colombia, they tell you that you can, if you look both ways, you can drive through red lights. You can't drive through red lights in the States, but here in Colombia, in school, they tell you that, after 8:30, when it's dark, you can drive through the lights. And in certain neighborhoods, you definitely want to drive through anyway. So the biggest learning curve that I had to adjust to was the traffic, because, in the States, we road rage to the end. You can't be in South America road raging, bro. You don't know what's somebody gonna jump out their car with or jump off their bike with. So you kind of learn to take a lot of stuff with a grain of salt when three bikes jump in front of you, or when when somebody just driving bad in traffic. You just slowly but surely, methodically learn the language. Now I'm doing the exact same thing on the road that they do. I'm blocking traffic. I'm going around. I'm the same language. So that was a learning curve. And it was interesting for a lot of people that say, I'll never drive in a foreign country, but it's really easy once you get past the stereotypes of driving. That's what the problem was for me. It wasn't their driving that was crazy. It was my perception of what driving was in the United States. I thought it was going to be like everywhere else. And as many of you guys have known from your travels, driving in the United States is not the norm, giving everybody space and so forth and so forth. So that was probably a learning curve for me. But
hold on, Andre. Before you finish, before you go to the pro, let me catch you right there. Thailand is one of the most dangerous places to drive in the world. It's like number 3 or number 4. There are literally no stop signs, okay? And it's of course like that. It's that moto culture where the majority of the vehicles are bikes, right? And I have a bike myself. You just gotta drive. You either gotta drive aggressively or very slow. You cannot be in the middle. It can be very dangerous. A lot of people do lose their lives on the roads out here in Thailand. There are no stop signs. Like you say, a red light is just an option. Half the time they do rolling stops. We get tickets for doing rolling stops. So if you're on a bike, you got a car coming, they doing a rolling stop, and you gotta avoid them and all that good stuff, man. So you definitely right. And on the thing about road rage is an American thing, bro. And when you in these countries, do not get out that car, do not throw up the finger, do not even bump your horn, because most of the cats that I see getting shot and getting beat up in Thailand is because some foreigner tried to have their American road rage or their Western road rage in a foreign country where they don't understand that that's just not how I go down. Like, you can't really necessarily bump your horn at the people here, all right? Because it's deemed as rude. I ain't gonna say I wrecked, but I've somewhat crashed my bike twice. All right, I've been hit by a car since I've been overseas. So you are absolutely right. But go ahead with the pros, brother. I just want to point that out real quick.
Oh, we could go back to that con because at the end of the day, when it comes to driving, you do have to adjust to their methods. For example, down here in Colombia, you can't hit a bike, even if the bike is in the wrong. You know, Colombians will jump their bike right in front of a car in milliseconds. So you have to be on top of that, because if you hit that bike from the back, the side, you could be making a straight, going straight, and it could come from your right, making a left-hand turn. You got to be on top of that, because what'll happen is if that Colombian gets hit on a bike, just by law, it is your fault. They have the right of way always. That's why you have another reason why you have so many Colombians have bikes compared to cars. The other thing is, man, if you've got 5 inches, you've got 5 cars in that space. It is crazy how they could take. Am I lying? But they could take 5 inches, and all of us can squeeze in that little 5 inch, and you just get used to it. But it is a con if you want to come down to South America to drive. When it comes to using your driver's license, you are only allowed to use your driver's license, at least in Colombia, 90 days a piece. And what I mean by that, if you come for 90 days or 180 days, for the first 90 days or even the second, you can use your driver's license, a U.S. driver's license. When you come back again, you can use your driver's license, but you can't be here for 2 or 3 years and use your U.S. driver's license. Take it from me. So when somebody says, "Well, I use my driver's license," I'm telling you, I got a $500,000 pesos ticket. My first ticket in Colombia, driving with my U.S. license, and I was past, which I didn't know, I was past the 90 days, and they were like, even though the truck was in my name, everything was registered, they were like, nope.
So, Dre,
that's good information to know.
Right. Very good information to know. Did they make you do like a driver's test to get your Colombia's driver's license, or you had to surrender your USA driver's license for Colombia?
No. They just gave me a ticket. I was driving from Cali to we're going to the countryside. We're going to the coffee region, and he just what happened to pull me. What happened was they had in the bushes cameras hidden in the bushes. So you may be driving 2 more miles, and all of a sudden you get pulled over, and you can't lie. And they're like, "Yeah, we saw you driving 2 miles up the road. Yeah, you're gonna take this ticket with you." And so here in Colombia, whenever you get a ticket, any type of traffic ticket, first thing they do is you get 50% off of it, but you have to take like a 2-hour course. All is just mandatory. It's a headache, but it's mandatory to get that 50% taken off. You can't say, "Well, I'm going to pay the whole thing." They're like, "Nah, go in there and take that 2-hour course, and then you pay that 50%." That's how it is.
And that course is all in Spanish?
Yeah, it's all in Spanish. My driver's not now. When it comes to driving, everybody in Colombia, whether it be a bike or a car or a bus or whatever vehicle, must take a driving course, a 2-week course. Everybody must take. Actually, it's a month long. You take 2 weeks of written. I did 2 weeks of written, dude. Literally with my Google Translate. Literally, because a lot of people don't know that your Google Translate can translate words.
Right.
So when they were showing stuff on the screen, all I did was put my Google Translate up, put it up in English, blah 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 blah. Whenever my instructor was writing things, and so with the little Spanish I did know, I could ask them, "Well, what about this? What about that?" You see people of all ages, from age of 15 to 55, in the same class, because everybody, like in the States, is in school, in high school. Right. But in Colombia, anybody that wants to buy a bike, you can see grandma in class with you, and anybody that wants to buy a car, you can see a teenager in the same class with you, and that's how it is in Colombia. How it was with me was I had already passed the written exam with the 98, and so it was time for me to take my 2 weeks of driving. So they drive sticks down here, and I'm like, okay, cool, I got it. And so like the second day in, Andrea just happened to be there, and she was talking to the instructor. We were just while I was driving, and she said, "My husband driving about 30, 35, 40 years almost. automatic in the States, and he looked at me like, what? He said, we got an automatic back up. He said, pull over. And I pulled over. He said, here's what I need you to do. Drive me back to the class, to my driver's course where I take my classes. And he said, okay. I said, cool. He said, we got an automatic SUV right there. You drive me to the mall and back here, you got your driver's license. I was like, what? All I got to do is drive you to the mall in my neighborhood, because our driving school is right around the corner. In my neighborhood, in the traffic I already drive you right around 5 minutes, and back here I get my and I had my L the next morning.
I got another twist for you guys though. Just imagine the steering wheel being on the other side of the car.
Yes, I was literally
just
thinking about that.
Yeah, but I got a question. What about an international driver's license? Because you can get that here from AAA for $20, and
I'm gonna say this.
That here too in
so
Thailand,
what are the steps to get an international?
But it doesn't apply to every country. They say that it does. I have not met somebody using an international driver's license here in Colombia, and I looked it up, and I was looking to get one. And so as I was doing my homework, that's why I realized, even though it's international, some countries say I'm cool, and there's other countries say we don't accept that. Yeah, I kid you not. I have not met anybody that's used an international driver's license here in Colombia. And I looked it up, and they weren't accepting it. And then when I was asked police officers, they were like, we know nothing about it here in Colombia. So I was like, okay, cool. Because I wasn't going to have my wife driving around, all the time. And I was like, man, let me go ahead and get my L and get it done. But like I said, when my man realized that I knew how to drive an automatic, he was like, man, forget about this stick, man. Let me give you an automatic. Your truck is already automatic. You've been driving automatics your whole life. No use. We teach you how to drive a stick here, which is cool. When all you got to do is just drive our SUV, and you can have your driver's license. And the other thing about Colombia that they don't do in the States, they do a thorough physical exam. Once you get done with the written, they send you right around the corner to a clinic. They do a hearing, a visual exam. And if you wear glasses and you are caught without contact lenses like me, or without your glasses and you're driving, you get a ticket. Because Colombia, they got that little machine that they have in their hand. They don't have to walk back to the car. So they just take your driver's license like a credit card, and all your information, also your cell phone, is registered.
Wow.
So just in case you got your cell phone and it's stolen, where'd you get the cell phone? It says right here, that cell phone is registered to so and so and so. Let me get that cell phone. Yeah,
so
your
Andre,
cell phone.
Are you saying this to be a con? This is a con for you?
Yeah, actually, is part of the what I'm saying is the learning curve of all this is the con. That whole learning curve of, because you come with these Americanized, or if you're coming from Europe, these European expectations of what you think the world is like. And the con is you got a lot to learn about this world. Like these gentlemen were saying, in every country, you think you don't know nothing. I mean, you swearing up and down because you American, Mr. USA, and you learn that another con is you realize everybody don't like America. Or Americans. That busts your head wide open.
The only con I would really say about going abroad really is just everything you have been taught and the traditions you've been taught. You literally have to unlearn them, because if you go over to like Russia, Ukraine, or certain places in Europe, Mexico, Colombia, Thailand, Japan, and you have that Western mindset, things that are accepted over here will not be accepted over there. And if you don't know, you'll get stomped out. So it's just best to research all the laws and the traditions before you go. That way you're in the know. You know what I'm saying? Like you were saying on a couple streams ago, subscribe to like a current events news feed for the country you're going to.
Very important.
Yeah.
Very important. Very important.
And
the pros and cons about Mexico?
Yeah. I would say, living overseas, specifically in Mexico, for example, there are certain elements you do have to get used to, depending on the city you're in. Is definitely traffic. Mexico City traffic is worse than LA. Also, certain smells. So, like the sewer, it can get pretty bad in certain areas of the city. Um, and then also, I think this is more travel related than actually, living somewhere in another country, but is the food and how they prepare the food. Because sometimes some people can get food allergies. If they're not taking their antibiotics, they can get sick for about a week or two, getting accustomed to how it's prepared. So those, I would say, are some of the cons of living overseas. Obviously, paying certain bills on time, because I think Mexico has a different payment system when it comes to utilities, lighting and sewer. So those are things people have to get used to being in another country full time.
And to go back on what you said about the food and sanitation, I've been to Mexico several times, and I noticed I ordered like a cheeseburger with some fries, and I noticed that they don't use gloves when they're handling the food. They just had their bare hands, and they was using that. So I was very afraid, you know what I'm saying, to eat the food there. I had a great time. It was a beautiful area, beautiful culture. Luckily, I didn't get sick, but I didn't know how they prepared the food. You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask you this though: how did that burger taste, and what part of Mexico were you in?
I was in Cozumel.
Okay.
The burger actually tasted really, really good. It was actually really, really good. I was actually surprised on how good it was. But I went there, and then I went to a Mexican restaurant, and of course that was fire. It was really good because that's at the source. But it was fine. Everything was fine. And then they don't have glasses there, so if you order like a soda, they'll give you the can instead of like the glasses.
Which is good. Which is to be frankly honest, it's better to drink from a glass or a metal because of the toxins in plastic.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, that's very true. And that's one of them other things that could be considered to be a con, because I try to tell guys in my consultations that if you haven't been overseas or it's your first time, definitely take some type of probiotics before you go. Because I've been sick the first week or two in almost every country I've been to because of the different bacteria that they have and like the different fungi they have in the breads and everything. I got sick in the DR. I got the runs in the DR. Like, yeah, that's definitely one of the cons.
Definitely so what do you do about like health insurance? You know what I'm saying? So like, do you buy like travel insurance?
Right.
Like, before you go,
they have they have a whole. I'm not going to tell exactly what company I'm with, but they do have a whole bunch of different expat insurance companies. Right. There's a difference between travel insurance because that could be temporary and it might not cover what you would really need if you're on a long-term stay. But they do have different expat insurances. It's cheaper the younger you are. It's really easy to sign up. You don't have to go to no doctor or anything like that. And in most cases, you're insured internationally besides a few other countries in the Middle East that you shouldn't be going to anyway. Global passport. Global passport. And but you're not insured in America in 9 times out of 10. So Andre Pepper can answer that to you even better, but I would say just do your own research on that.
You answered it 100% correctly. There are two sides of insurance. One is for travel insurance, and I know and it'll cover your luggage, of course, and things like that, but also travel health insurance also covers you, and they're really inexpensive. You get travel insurance for less than in some cases, if you're only there for like 4 or 5 days, it'll be $10 or $15, $20 to cover you at that time period, depending on what you need to have covered. And then you have what's called expat insurance out here. For example, you have Blue Cross Blue Shield in the States. Well, that same Blue Cross Blue Shield also has what's called GeoGo. And it's Blue Cross Blue Shield's version of an expat insurance. So there's a lot of insurance companies, just like Aaron just said, there's a lot of insurance companies out there. It depends on what you're looking for. Now, if I was traveling just to travel to locations, I would get travel insurance. Even if I was just going to be there a month or 3 months, I would get travel insurance to cover me. I wouldn't get expat insurance because I'm not going to live there. But if I'm either going to live in this country and especially or a country, or especially you plan on applying for a visa for that country. Because in many cases, even myself, for marriage visa, or even for those that are filing for digital nomad visas in other countries, a part of the prerequisite is expat health insurance. So that's a part of being able to, the list that they ask you of things to make sure you have. One of those things is, even though I'm married and I'm living in Colombia, I still have to make sure that I was covered I had a certain amount of insurance covering myself. And so those are the two genres, one for travelers and one for those that plan on living in a country. But I wouldn't use the one that you want to live in a country as far as expat insurance if I'm just going to be a traveler.
Yeah, but like you said, like my long-term goal, I would say within about 3 to 5 years, I want to move to that specific country, and become an expat. So there's also a lot of things that you have to do if you want to get married, if you want to have property. I'll research in my country that I'm going to in Croatia. If you are outside of the EU/Schengen area, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing it, you have to put a request in to the prime ministry, and it's kind of a lengthy process, and then they have to approve it or deny it. And then if you're buying a home there, you have to put 10% down, but the government said not to put the full price or more than 10%, because if the prime ministry denies it, then you're going to have to pay 100% of the house.
Okay, that's good information to know. Real quick, Andre, I got another quick question for you. I'm gonna get right back to you, Will. You said something about marriage. When you marry a Colombian, do you get some type of national health care off rip or something?
What you actually do, it depends on, like Andre. Andre has been up under SURA. If you've ever been here, as you have, SURA is like the top medical insurance. Is there Blue Cross Blue Shield? There, what that is, SURA insurance. So I am up under the umbrella of, instead of buying another insurance separately, I was able to get up under her insurance, up under the umbrella of her insurance, and have all the benefits of the top notch. So we made sure that we got the top insurance, even though I'm up under her umbrella. But the cool part is we can have 10, like we pay $100 a month for 2 people. We can have 10 kids, and it's still going to be $100 a month. That's another benefit. What I also like about what you were saying earlier, United States ranks 37 in the world for medical. But at the same time, Colombia ranks, I just looked at it a week ago, Colombia ranks under the World Health Organization, ranks number 22. But yet the United States ranks number 6 in the world for malpractice.
I mean, we all know a lot of brothers not comfortable with going to the hospital in the States, man. We all got that little stigma.
I stay with checkups, man. I just got them, and it's so inexpensive here with your insurance that, in the States, you like, I may not think about, or I think I could afford to see a nutritionist. I don't think I can afford an MRI just to get one. I don't think I can afford the veneers. I don't think I can afford the CAT scan and all these things that you will want to get and you see on television. But you like in the States, that's $2,000 just for that scan. But then you come to these other countries and, dude, I got a file this thick. I'm always getting examined for something, because not because I'm healthy as can be, but because the medical opportunity is so inexpensive. My copay is 84 cents for everything that I want to get. So I got a stack of everything. I'm steady going to exam for this, check up for that, make sure I got this, make sure. Dude, I don't just go to get a pedicure. I go to the podiatrist. I make sure. I hope I said it correctly. The ones that the professional, because it's so inexpensive. So you see what I'm saying? So I have to make sure that if I got a corn, how do I get rid of this corn? If I got a ingrown, how do I get rid of this? I mean, it's just so inexpensive to go directly to the source compared to back home in the States. Many of us, we're leery of the health system. B, we know the health system quite often it has biases, it's biasness, and then C, the cost. The cost of the United States is outrageous. And plus, the United States, I'm going to end with this. The United States is one of the only countries in the world outside of Papua New Guinea that doesn't have any days or what is it called? days off for paternity leave or days off for illnesses, except for your FMLA days and things like that. The 10 days I think they give you. But most countries, that's automatic. United States, the only developed country in the world that doesn't have it. Even Cuba has days where if something happens to you, we good. Or days where if your woman is pregnant, she good. And they even split the days up like, okay, we give y'all 50 days and she can use 35 days off and you can use 15 of the days to watch the newborn baby. But United States has nothing like that. And so those are, I guess I want to say medical would be one of my pros because I've been able to take care of my health, man. And I look so much better. I feel so much better.
That's why they have medical tourism from the United States to some of the Latin American countries because the medical procedures down there is just much, much better and much, much cheaper.
You know, when you say medical tourism, most people think about the BBLs and but we're talking about real medical tourism.
No. You'll have some of them when they go down there and actually have certain procedures, certain medical procedures done down there. Not just, not plastic surgery, but actual like dental work and stuff like that. Because they're much, much cheaper, getting like, a replacement of your teeth and stuff like that, they're way, way cheaper going down to Latin American countries than doing it up here.
Yeah, even if you want your hair, even if you want your hair back, man.
Survivors that came down here and got their cancer surgery. I met one
from the States is like ×5 in certain countries. I think it's about three times and 5 times in Mexico. And to go back on what you said about they don't have paternity leave and time for illnesses, based on my experience in the States and what I've gathered from the culture and the work history, I think the States and Western countries are just very capitalist minded and they want to produce those results. Like
they want to keep the population sick and on meds.
They don't care. They just want to keep the system running. I mean, as long as you're making the breadwinners of the corporation on top of it money, they don't really care. They really see you as a number to perform a task. So
the pharmaceutical companies, they really run the medical system in the States, truth be told.
Oh yeah.
But go ahead, Will, hop on in there, man. I know you.
Yeah, no problem. But to go back to what he said about there's no maternity leave, well, actually that's changed as of this year because which shocked the hell out of me. We have the male guys. They get 90 days to basically be off to help and take care of their wives. I know this from the government perspective. So, I mean, I work for the Department of Defense, so they get off for 90 days. Now, I'm not sure if that's in a civilian capacity for normal people, but I do know for outside the military, for civilian workers and stuff like that, they get 90 days off for that. Now, also to get back to medical care, so for me to travel overseas, I don't ever get that while I'm traveling far as medical insurance because I have TRICARE for life. And so there's a clinic right there in Sabanata. That's a VA clinic that's contracted out. So I can go there. I can get medical care for anybody that's a military member. I'm a 100% disabled veteran. So definitely can get that. So one of the things I do know that for me to get my visa, and you're correct about that, one of the requirements is that you have the expat insurance. So I was advised that get the expat insurance. Once I get approved, drop it, then I can go back to my TRICARE. Because what happens is...
Okay, hold on real quick. I want to ask you a question. So even though you have VA benefits, you still have to get some form of expat insurance for the visa?
Yep, I still have to do that because the Colombian government doesn't recognize the U.S. military's TRICARE system.
Okay.
So what the VA does is they have a list of all the doctors that are in Medellin or around Colombia that I can go to. So I can go and get all the care he's talking about. I can go to a podiatrist. I can go to dental. I can go get any of the care that I want. Because that was one of the things my girlfriend was on when she was like, well, how am we going to take care of you for medical care? I was like, well, shit, if we get married, I'm going to be taking care of your ass because you're going to fall under my insurance. It's better than yours because we could go anywhere in the world with my stuff. I mean, it's being retired and stuff. But I mean, it's just like you said, I never knew any major problems with medical because I've been under the government. I've been working with the government for 39 years. So I have not known anything but the government. So when I hear about like a lot of my friends who work in the private sector, like you gentlemen, it's like when they talk about the medical, I cry my heart out because I'm like, wait a minute, these are hardworking people, yet they're not getting the best medical care, but they would, and don't, nothing against people on the system, but I've seen people on the system get better health care than the people who are working.
That's a good point. Well, guys, we've been here for about close to 2 hours. I'm going to go ahead and sum up the show. I want to give everybody closing statements on their pros and cons. I'm going to start off with you, Global Passport.
Yeah, if you saw me, I was switching screens earlier because I wanted to bring up a point about the food. So I got like 2 screens going on over here. What I wanted to bring up about the food when we was talking is on a cultural sense, like when I was living in Israel, in Exodus, you can't combine the goat meat with the mother's milk. So getting a cheeseburger overseas in Israel, it's a no-no. And I believe that's also in some of the Middle Eastern countries, but that's actually just with the Jewish culture. But those are things you got to be aware of. If it's a non-kosher place, you'll get a cheeseburger. But most of the places in Israel, you go, you ask for a cheeseburger, you're not going to get a cheeseburger. So those are things you got to be aware of. The culture of each country, because it's not going to be like America. You're not going to get the kind of service you're going to have in America. Things are going to be slow. Things are going to be different. And that's something you're just going to have to roll with. That's why I recommend with people talking about being expats in this country, I tell them take a couple of trips just to see how it is before you make that jump to become an expat, because just picking up and being an expat and just going over there, you could be in for a disappointment.
That's a good point. Go ahead, QB.
Yeah, so for me, kind of to answer the gentleman's question when he came on originally, I still have to do a little bit more exploring beyond just Mexico and Latin America. But if I had the opportunity to retire or live in Mexico full time as an expat, absolutely. There are a lot of great benefits in terms of the beaches, the food, the weather, the environment, and basically your lifestyle that you want to live. You can accomplish it in a place like Mexico. So with that in mind, you have many options, but if you're going to live somewhere in a foreign country full-time as an expat, you really want to learn the language. I cannot stress that enough. And make a good social network with the locals there as well. I think you're muted, BMT.
I say you out there selling them Mex Treatment cowboy hats?
Right, yeah, soon, man. Yeah, on the merch. Okay. Right. Yeah, I'll get my merch up and running pretty soon, man. Pretty soon, definitely.
That's what's up. Andre, love crossing borders.
Just my advice is just be prepared for the learning curve. Whether it be the learning curve of you being away from your family and friends or the learning curves of your new environment, just be prepared to embrace it as part of your relocation experience. It's not just you moving tangible things such as your clothes and your clothes and your shoes and so forth to a new country, but you have to realize that you're going to have to take a new mindset with you when you go to these countries, because in every country is not cookie cutter. I mean, I know in the States they've told us that we got 50 states and all 50 states might be cookie cutter, which is not true. So it is when it comes to going to other countries. Just make sure that you're patient with yourself.
And how important do you think it is to get a consultation for guys that actually want to live overseas?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
So how important do you think those consultations are for guys who actually want to repatriate and
Very
live
important.
overseas.
Very important.
Extremely. We do so many consultations, and so many guys when they finally come through, they thank us because they're like, man, I would not have known, and it would have took so much longer to go through my learning curve if I wouldn't have. Is there, for example, right around the corner, there are like 4 or 5 brothers that just got here. IT guys just got here a week ago. And all week long, I've been hearing it's exactly like you said. I'm glad that you told us about this. I'm glad that you told us about that. And so the consultation just saved you so much learning curves that I wish that there were more expats doing a consultation before when I came here. It wasn't too many brothers doing it, sharing information. So, but that is extremely important. It saves you so much in costs when it comes to consultations. So if you guys are out there and you're thinking about getting a consultation from any of these gentlemen, take advantage of it. Even if it's a couple years before, and this is very important before I end it, even if it's a couple of years before you move to that country, because doing that consultation in advance helps you get your 2, 3 year, 4 year game plan together for that country. You don't want to just automatically just run out there. You want to make sure that you say, okay, now I've talked to BMT about Thailand or Richie Mack or whomever, Chocolate Man, and so now I know what to do and put down in my 4 or 5 year game plan. But if you wait those 4 or 5 years, that consultation can give you only so much information, and you thought that you knew everything about Thailand, and then you do that consultation, and everything that you thought is wiped out the window for the last 5 years. So even if you're going to be leaving in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, 10 years, and you're still raising the kids, still get a consultation. Then do a recap consultation right before you leave that country.
I'm gonna give you a prime example of why consultations are so important, and I definitely 100% agree with that, Andre. Bank accounts, right? Guys move overseas and they forget that you have to pay $3, $4, $7 in most cases. Your bank in America is charging you, then you're getting charged from the foreign bank. That's $7 each time you go to the ATM machine. You're living here, so that adds up. Now they've changed some things to where it's more difficult for Americans to actually get bank accounts in Thailand. So those are things like that. The consultation can definitely save you money, because if you knew previously, okay, as soon as I get to Thailand, I have about 30 days on my visa to get a bank account. After them 30 days, it's going to get more difficult. These are things that you definitely want to know when moving to another country, because like I say, those $7 transactions every time you go to ATM definitely add up. Even when I was in Colombia, I had to go to ATM so many times because it's different in Colombia. Here, if you have a Thai bank account, you can pretty much scan 90% of the places, so you don't even. It's almost like a cashless society to a certain degree here in Thailand. But it's certain information you need to know, and you have to go in certain cases with somebody, a national or local, to obtain that bank account in Thailand. So those are one of those important things: medical insurance, where to stay, what neighborhoods are safe for Americans, bank accounts, all the types of stuff that you will learn in those consultations. I want to go ahead to you, Josh. You have the floor.
Yeah, I appreciate all you guys for the wise words of wisdom, and I'm really, really excited for what lies ahead. And I'm saying, sky's the limit. I think these 3 to 5 years of planning are going to be excellent. My steps are going to be in order. You know what I'm saying? And appreciate what you do, BMT. And I want the best for Black men, and I think that this is putting all of us on the right path. Instead of gang banging, street life, selling dope, toting guns, I think that all of us are very like-minded to better ourselves, learn global skill sets like IT, start businesses abroad, learn different cultures, and just really, represent our culture and undo the negative stereotypes that have been established by us, by Pookie and Ray Ray. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah. Facts. All right, go ahead, Will. You have the floor, bro.
Hey, I just want to say I appreciate you letting me into the show. Definitely, I'm glad to finally get a live show because I'm always overseas or going somewhere. But first off, to go back to what Josh was saying, preparing 3 to 5 years out. Just like I said, I didn't just say, hey, I'm gonna move to Colombia today. I started going there in 2021, fell in love with it, been going there ever since to make sure. laying that foundation. And just like what Andre said, I don't think you should go to a country with high expectations. You can't go there thinking that this is the United States. I think that's where most Americans get into trouble, because they think that this is like the United States. If you go there thinking that's the way it's going to be, then you're not going to survive. You have to go there with some humbleness. You have to go there with an open mind, and you have to be compassionate about what is your purpose for being there. Are you going there to, live your life? Are you going there just to have a good time? Because if you're just going there to have a good time, that's just going to be short-lived. I'm going to just be honest with you. You have to go there with purpose. What's your purpose? Because when you find out what your purpose is, then you will go and be more fruitful in whatever it is you want to do. I just want to say I appreciate you, brothers. I appreciate you, BLT, for letting me come on the show. I hope to get on many more of these. And I will tell you, going to Croatia is really nice. Hungary is really nice too. I actually got to tell you, I lived there too in Tazar, Hungary. So I can tell you, Hungary is a really nice area. I was there when that was, Sarajevo back in the 90s. So that's a whole nother story. But hey, gentlemen, I appreciate you, the love. And just so you know, we in the 1%, because that's how I look at it, each and every one. Every brother don't have a passport. I can't tell you how many brothers I say, hey, man, get your passport, go overseas. And they don't want to do
There's
it.
like 10% of black men or less that have passports.
And then here's another.
Like 70%. Yeah.
Here's another kicker for you that I just read 4 days ago, that those Americans that do have passports, 50% of all American passports are only used for Canada.
Oh, damn.
50% of all,
damn.
50% of all U.S. passports are only used for Canada.
Wow.
That's amazing, bro.
Not even
I didn't
Mexico.
see that coming.
Yeah, that blew me away. I was like, are you serious? And I'm just doing some research on passports. They were like 50%, and it was just a new article that just came out. 50% of all passports are used for Canada. Another thing that's a pro. Also, guys, there are a lot of guys that are spiritual guys. You may be Muslim, you may be Christian, you may be Hindu, you may be Buddhist, you may be Catholic. There are locations around this country that also respect those religions as well. Like, for example, every Sunday, Andre and we go to church service, and I kid you not, other than Spanish, it's just like the service back home in the States, literally. So if you want to pick your Bible up on Sunday, or pick your Quran up, or do your prayers, there are groups and environments. There are mosques in Colombia. There are temples here in Colombia, as well as churches here in Colombia. And it's just like that in other countries. So for all you guys that have a spiritual side, feel comfortable with that. You're not going to miss out on being a part of the group of spirituality in which you explore.
Excellent. Well, guys, been another great show. I appreciate y'all coming on, man.
All right. Oh, yeah.
Peace. All right, family. That's been another good show. We're at the 2-hour mark. We're going to go ahead and close it on out. Like I said, I appreciate everybody joining in the chat. I appreciate everybody that came on the panel as well. Give you guys a quick glimpse. Hopefully you can see a little bit of the app, scroll there a little bit. See if I can kind of scroll. That's some of the groups on there. So we working, man. We are working. I want to give a shout out to the team, Cardell, and my developer as well. We in here, man. We in here. All right. Peace. We out.